Yesterday I had read one unique and a very beautiful article, long exhaustive article. However, it was interesting and unique in the sense I've seldom found a book or a lady praising her husband. And maybe vice versa is also true. All these jokes moving around worldwide against the husband wife, they have got some kind of truth or some basis into it. It can't be all lies. But here is the article written by uh, an American author, Gene Kerr, and the title was "A Man Does the Dearest Things." Now, in this article, she praises her husband in such a manner that they are very subtle and put in a very inimical way. So I share what she writes with you all. She writes that I feel a bit of fraud, like a liar, to be finding faults in men when I pretend to be so crazy about them. And deep down, inside, I'm really crazy about men. They are sweet and so helpful. But, she says, the charming as men are, we can't pretend they're perfect. It wouldn't be good, she says, for them, and it wouldn't be true either. She says for marrying one is like buying something you have been admiring for a long time in a shop window. You may love it when you get it home, but it doesn't always go with everything else in the house. One reason for this is that most men insist on behaving as though this were an orderly, sensible universe, which naturally makes them hard to live with. The other reason they are hard to live with, she also said that although it sounds quite illogical, is that they are so good, they're so sweet, they're so charming, they're so helpful. Perhaps I can clarify that by giving, she said, by giving few more intolerable virtues of every husband or every man. In her list, the first was that she says a man will not meddle in what he considers his wife's affairs. He may interfere at the office, driving secretaries to drink or premature marriage by snooping in a file drawer and then tinkering with the duplicating machines. But back home, in the nest, he is very model of patience and like a laissez-faire, absolutely exemplary human being. He will stare at you across the dining room table as you simultaneously carve the lamb, the meat, and the feed the baby, and announce in piteous tones. He will be sitting at the dining table and simply say, "Oh, there is no salt in the shaker." And what a wife objects to in this situation is not just the notion that daddy has lived in this house for 13 years without even discovering where the damn salt is kept. It's more the implication that only she has the stamina and animal cunning necessary to pour the salt into little hole in the shaker. Another quality, she says, a man remembers important things. You know, it really is remarkable the fund of information he keeps at his fingertips. The date of the Battle of Panipat, the name of the fifth president of India, or anybody else who established the democracy in which country. He will know all kinds of information. He will also know the name of the man who invented telephone, printing press, the formula for water, the preamble of the nation's constitution, and every lyric, every good song, the author, the singer, the lyricist, everything he'll remember. It is obviously unreasonable to expect one to so weighted down with relevant data to remember a simple fact like what size shirt he takes. He won't know, or what grade uh, he had got in his high school, intermediate, or graduation. He won't know. You see, he he will remember everything but what is in the house. A woman just has to go through the life remembering for two. As an example of this, she says, I was recently told that a wife who from time to time pinned a tag on her husband's overcoat. The tag read, please don't give me a ride home from the station. I have my own car today. This technique wouldn't work with, it never worked with her husband, she says, because he usually forgets his overcoat and leaves it on the train itself. So much so of the man's remembering important things. Then she goes on telling that a man will try to improve your mind, operating on the suspicion that women read nothing in the newspaper except fashion ads. The average man takes considerable pains to keep his scatterbrain. Wife will not waste time on all this except her need of fashion and vanity. So she quotes a dialogue that the husband's one fine morning sipping the cup of tea, he asks, honey, did you read this article by so and so on the shake up of the ministry? And I replied, no. What did he has to say? He replies, you should have read it. It is a damn good piece to read. No, well, what was the gist of the article? I asked again. He replies, where is the paper? I said, it should be somewhere here only. He said, no, it isn't. It must have gone out with the garbage. That's too bad. It would have, had you read the article, it would have clarified everything. I replied, I'm sure. But you tell me, what was the writer has to say about the article? He simply gets up and says, oh, no, he was against this reshuffle of the ministry, and that's it. This is the long conversation. How this is how the man improves the mind. Another factor, she says, she noticed a man allows you to make the most important decisions because he has such respect for you, for your superior wisdom and technical know-how. He will allow you to take all the decision in the running of the home. He will not meddle with it. She said a man will give you always an honest answer. That's why they are so sweet. If you say, honey, do you think this dress is too bright for me to wear? He will say, boy, it sure is simple. She went on sharing another qualities that the man believes in sharing. Men are all advocates of togetherness, she says, up to a point. They will agree that it is your house, our mortgage, and of course, our song. It is interesting, however, to observe the circumstances under which the items that once were our just are joined suddenly becomes your exclusive possessions. A man, she says, doesn't want you to worry at all, since he supposes, and quite correctly, that you worry a great deal about his health. He will go on to any length of to any lengths to spare you the least alarm about it. He will never tell you, and you are stuck in emergencies always. And ultimately, she also, there are many things which I remember I'm sharing with you. Ultimately, she writes, a man idealizes his wife. This is another way of saying that he hasn't really looked at her in last 10 15 years at all. She says that to get me a house coat for my birthday gift, my husband will make the unthinkable sacrifice of visiting all the possible malls or websites or shops in the city. And he selects the one with great difficulty that enters the uh, best outlet and meets the slimmest, trimmest, and the little sale girls on the floor and announces, ah, get me an overcoat. My wife is just about your size. Naturally, have to take the thing. She said, I have to take the damn thing back and get myself a house coat for 4 size larger. So much so, he idealizes his wife. But on the second thought, she says, perhaps I should complain about that if you stop and think, it really rather charming of him to think of me in that figure. It's an interesting article. I enjoyed it. There's a beautiful way of putting it, the sarcasm and